Story number 1. The Taser Challenge. Our first brilliant mind comes from St. Louis, Missouri, 2020. Meet Kyle, a 21-year-old who discovered something called the Taser Challenge online, because apparently the Tide Pod Challenge wasn't stupid enough. For those blessed with common sense, let me explain what a taser is. It's a device that sends 50,000 volts of electricity through your body to incapacitate you. Police use them to stop people. Medical professionals warn against them. But Kyle? Kyle thought, you know what would be fun? Doing this to myself, repeatedly, for internet points. Because nothing says entertainment like voluntarily experiencing what criminals get as punishment, right? So Kyle gets himself a taser, not a toy one, a real, legitimate, designed to drop a grown man taser. And he starts the game. First shock, he screams, his muscles seize up, he falls down. His friends are filming, laughing, cheering him on like this is the height of comedy. Does Kyle stop there? Of course not. That would be wise. Instead, he gets up and does it again, and again, and again. Each time, 50,000 volts coursing through his body. Each time, his heart trying to figure out what the heck is happening to it. Here's what Kyle didn't know, or more likely didn't care about. Every time you shock yourself with a taser, you're disrupting your heart's electrical rhythm. Your heart operates on very specific electrical signals. When you blast it with external electricity, you're essentially scrambling those signals. One shock, your heart can usually recover. Multiple shocks in rapid succession, you're playing Russian roulette with your cardiac system. On shock number 7, Kyle's heart said, "I'm out." Cardiac arrest. His friends stopped laughing real quick. Someone called 911, but by the time paramedics arrived, Kyle's brain had been without oxygen for too long. The paramedics told police they'd seen taser injuries before, but never someone who'd done it to themselves repeatedly. One EMT said, "This is like watching someone hit themselves with a hammer 7 times and being surprised when their skull breaks." Your heart is not a toy. Electricity is not a game. If police use it to stop dangerous criminals, maybe, just maybe, you shouldn't use it on yourself for TikTok fame. Peer pressure and internet clout are not worth your life. If your challenge involves deliberately harming yourself, you've already lost. Story number 2. The Lawnmower Fire. Next up, we're heading to Charlotte, North Carolina, 2017. Our protagonist is Dave, a 40-year-old who should absolutely know better by now. Dave is mowing his lawn on a hot summer day when he notices his lawnmower is looking a bit grimy. Now, a normal person would think, I'll finish mowing, turn it off, let it cool down, and clean it later. Dave's brain went, you know what this hot running gasoline-powered engine needs? More gasoline, poured directly on it, while it's running. Let's pause here and appreciate the complete absence of survival instinct. Dave looked at a machine that operates by combusting gasoline and thought, yes, let's add more flammable liquid to this situation. So Dave goes to his garage, grabs a full gallon of gasoline, walks back to his running lawnmower, and starts pouring it over the engine. He's literally dousing the hot engine block with gasoline, thinking this will clean it. Chemistry and physics immediately called an emergency meeting. The gasoline ignites instantly, but it doesn't just catch fire on the lawnmower. Oh no! Remember, Dave is pouring from a gallon container. The fire travels up the stream of gasoline like a fuse, straight back to the container in his hands. Now Dave is holding a gallon of burning gasoline. He panics, drops it, and it splashes all over him. His clothes catch fire, the grass catches fire, the lawnmower is fully engulfed. Dave is literally standing in the middle of an inferno of his own creation. His neighbor heard the screams and came running with a garden hose, but by the time he got there, Dave had second and third-degree burns over 60% of his body. The neighbor managed to put out the flames and call 911, but the damage was catastrophic. Dave spent 3 days in the burn unit before his body just couldn't take it anymore. The burns were too severe, the infection too widespread, the damage too extensive. The fire investigators' report was brutally simple. Victim poured gasoline on operating engine. Gasoline ignited. Death ruled accidental, but entirely preventable. Here's what kills me about this one. Dave was 40 years old. 40! He'd been alive long enough to know that gasoline plus hot engine equals fire. This isn't advanced chemistry. This is like third-grade science class material. The lawnmower manual, which investigators found in Dave's garage, still in the plastic wrapper, never opened, had warnings about this exact scenario on literally the first page of the safety section, in bold, with pictures, with a skull and crossbones symbol. Gasoline is for fuel tanks, not for cleaning hot engines. If you want to clean your lawnmower, turn it off, let it cool for 30 minutes, and use a brush or compressed air. The 10 minutes you save by not waiting for it to cool is not worth becoming a human torch. Read the manual. Those warnings are written in other people's blood. Story number 3. The Jet Ski Electrician. Buckle up because this next one from Lake Washington, 1999 is a masterclass in not understanding how electricity works. Meet Rodney, a guy who loved his jet ski but apparently slept through every science class ever. Rodney's out on Lake Washington having a great time when his jet ski battery dies. He's stuck in the water, about 100 feet from shore. Does he swim to shore and deal with it later? Does he call for help? Does he flag down another boater? Nope. Rodney has a better idea. He swims to shore, goes to his truck, and gets jumper cables. Standard automotive jumper cables. You know, the ones with big metal clamps. Then, and I want you to really picture this, he finds a 110-volt electrical outlet on a nearby dock. Rodney's plan? Plug the jumper cables into the wall outlet, swim back to his jet ski with the live electrical cables, and jumpstart his jet ski. In the water, with electricity, in a lake. Electricity and water. Two things that every human over the age of 5 knows do not mix. Now, there were people on the dock who saw Rodney doing this. Multiple witnesses reported that people were yelling at him, "Stop! Don't do that! You'll get electrocuted!" One guy even ran toward him to physically stop him. But Rodney waved him off. He knew what he was doing. He was an adult. He didn't need their advice. Rodney plugs the cables into the outlet. 110 volts of alternating current now flowing through these cables. He walks to the edge of the dock, cables in hand, and jumps into the water. The moment those live cables hit the water with Rodney still holding them, physics ended the experiment. 110 volts doesn't sound like much, it's just household current, right? But in water, with your whole body as a conductor, it's absolutely lethal. Rodney's muscles seized immediately. He couldn't let go of the cables if he wanted to. Electrical current causes your muscles to contract, which means his hands clamped down on those clips. He couldn't swim. He couldn't call for help. He just stopped. The witnesses who tried to warn him called 911 immediately, but they couldn't jump in to save him because the water around him was electrified. They had to wait for someone to run and flip the circuit breaker. By the time they pulled Rodney out, it had been over 4 minutes. His heart had stopped, his brain had been without oxygen, and despite the paramedics' best efforts, he never regained consciousness. The coroner's report? Accidental electrocution. Victim entered water while holding live electrical cables connected to 110-volt outlet. Here's the thing that makes this extra tragic. Rodney's jet ski battery would have cost maybe $80 to replace. A tow back to shore would have been free. Other boaters help each other all the time. He died trying to save what? An hour of inconvenience? Maybe $100? Water conducts electricity. This is not debatable science. This is not, well, maybe it'll be fine. This is absolute non-negotiable physics. If you're near water and electricity is involved, they should never, ever touch, and definitely don't make your body the connection between them. Also, when multiple people are screaming at you to stop, maybe listen. Story number 4. The Parachute Swim. Moving to Riverton, Utah, 2000. Let me introduce you to Craig, a thrill seeker who loved extreme sports. Paragliding, skydiving, base jumping, Craig did it all. He was actually pretty good at it, too. Hundreds of successful jumps under his belt. But Craig got bored with normal paragliding. Landing in fields? Too easy. Landing on designated zones? Too mainstream. Craig wanted to do something extreme, something nobody had done before. His brilliant idea? Paraglide into a canal. On purpose. Because when you think safe landing zone, you naturally think moving body of water, right? Craig spent weeks planning this stunt. He picked a canal that ran through Riverton. Decent width, steady flow, seemed manageable. What Craig didn't account for, or more likely completely ignored, was what happens to a parachute when it hits water. See, parachutes are designed to catch air. That's literally their entire purpose. Thousands of square feet of fabric designed to trap as much air as possible. When that same fabric hits water, it does the exact same thing, except now it's trapping water. Craig launches from a nearby hill, glides beautifully toward his target, and lands right in the middle of the canal. Perfect execution. For about 3 seconds. Then physics showed up to the party. His parachute immediately fills with water. We're talking hundreds of gallons of water soaking into the fabric instantly. What was keeping him aloft now becomes a massive, heavy anchor. The current in the canal catches this water-filled parachute and starts dragging Craig downstream. Craig tries to release the parachute, but the quick release mechanism is now underwater and tangled. He's fighting against the current, against the weight of the waterlogged chute, against his own panic. Witnesses on the shore are running alongside trying to reach him, but the canal has steep concrete sides in this section. The parachute drags him about 200 yards downstream. Every time Craig manages to get his head above water for a breath, the weight pulls him back under. His strength is failing. The parachute lines are wrapped around him. By the time emergency responders managed to get him out of the water using ropes and a rescue team, Craig had been submerged too long. Despite aggressive CPR and rushing him to the hospital, he never woke up. The paragliding instructor who'd trained Craig years earlier told investigators, "I specifically teach students about water landings in the first week. It's one of the most dangerous scenarios in paragliding." The parachute becomes a death trap. Craig knew this. Everyone who paraglides knows this. So why did he do it? According to his friends, he wanted to film it for a documentary about extreme sports. He wanted to be the first person to intentionally paraglide into a canal and swim out. He thought he could beat the physics. Extreme sports are dangerous enough when done correctly in appropriate environments. Deliberately adding water to a parachute sport is not extreme, it's suicidal. Parachutes and water don't mix for very specific physics reasons. Your confidence and experience don't override the laws of physics. If professionals say, "Don't do this," it's not a challenge, it's a warning written in other people's tombstones. Story number 5. The Smoking Oxygen Tank. Last, but absolutely not least, we're heading to Houston, Texas, 2017, for a tale of warnings ignored so many times that it becomes almost impressive in its stubbornness. Meet Harold, a 62-year-old man with severe lung disease who required supplemental oxygen to breathe. He had one of those portable oxygen concentrators that many elderly people with respiratory issues use. Nothing unusual there. Here's where it gets stupid. Harold was a lifelong smoker, like 3 packs a day, chain smoking, never without a cigarette smoker. Even after his lungs failed him, even after he needed oxygen to survive, Harold refused to quit. Now, let me explain something very, very important about oxygen. Pure oxygen doesn't burn on its own, but it makes everything else burn faster, hotter, and more intensely. It's literally called an oxidizer. It makes combustion more aggressive. When you combine oxygen with something that's already on fire, like say a lit cigarette, you create what firefighters call an oxygen-enriched atmosphere fire. Things that normally burn slowly will explode into flames. Harold's oxygen concentrator came with warnings, big red stickers, literally plastered all over the device. No smoking, no open flames, fire hazard, oxygen in use. The manual, which his daughter confirmed he'd read, had an entire chapter dedicated to fire safety. His doctor warned him, multiple times, every single appointment, "Harold, you cannot smoke while using oxygen. You will catch fire." His daughter warned him. She pleaded with him. She hid his cigarettes. She threatened to take away his oxygen if he didn't stop. The oxygen supply company warned him. They made him sign multiple liability waivers acknowledging he understood the fire risk. Harold's response to all of these warnings from all of these people over months and months was, "I'll be careful. I know what I'm doing." One afternoon, Harold sitting in his favorite chair, oxygen tube in his nose, concentrator running beside him. He reaches for his cigarettes. He's done this before and been fine, though fine meant he'd singed his mustache a few times and burned holes in his shirts. He puts a cigarette in his mouth. He flicks his lighter. The oxygen-enriched air around his face ignites immediately. We're not talking about a little flame. We're talking about a flash fire that engulfs his entire head in a fraction of a second. The plastic oxygen tubing melts instantly and fuses to his face. The heat is so intense that his hair and eyebrows are gone in seconds. The oxygen is still flowing, feeding the fire, making it burn hotter and faster. Harold manages to rip the tubing off, taking skin with it, and stumbles toward his kitchen sink. But the damage is done. Second and third degree burns across his face, neck, and upper chest. His lungs, already damaged from years of smoking, now also have severe burn damage from inhaling superheated air. His neighbor smelled the smoke and called 911. Paramedics arrived to find Harold in shock, his face a nightmare of burns and melted plastic. They rushed him to the burn unit, but between his pre-existing lung disease and the new burn injuries, his body couldn't cope. He lasted 6 days in the hospital before multiple organ failure ended it. The burn unit doctor told Harold's family, "We see 1 or 2 of these cases every year. It's always smokers who refuse to quit despite needing oxygen. The warning labels are clear. The physics is simple, but people think, it won't happen to me." Harold's daughter told investigators that her father had been warned probably 100 times by various people. He just wouldn't listen. He thought he knew better than the doctors, better than the oxygen company, better than basic chemistry. When everyone is telling you the same warning, and that warning is printed on multiple labels, and that warning is backed by physics and chemistry, listen to them. Your addiction is not stronger than the laws of combustion. Oxygen makes fires worse. This is not debatable. If you need oxygen to survive, smoking is not an option anymore. Period. No amount of being careful will protect you from chemistry.